Hey guys, if you love listening to our podcast, then you're going to love the pictures at wrestlersorwarriors.com. Tony Rotundo is a great friend of ours, and his photos are fantastic. Go see him for yourself at wrestlersorwarriors.com. That's wrestlersorwarriors.com.
Well, hey Seth, welcome to the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. Excited to be on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you taking the time to come join me for another episode of Home Out Advantage. Really excited to get this going.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Let
Thanks for inviting me.
No problem. Let's just jump right in and start by asking how you got introduced to the sport of wrestling and just when was that? How old were you? And just give the details there.
Yeah. I got into wrestling at an early age. My dad was he wrestled a little bit growing up. Was kind of big in his family. All his brothers wrestled, and yeah, he just brought me in when I was about 5 years old, and just had me try it out, see how I liked it, and just immediately fell in love with the sport right away. And as soon as he brought me, I was, hey, when are we going back again? When are we wrestling again? And yeah, I mean, the rest was history. Ever since, it's been a pretty consistent thing in my life.
So it didn't take any time for you to develop a passion for the sport. You knew it was for you right away.
Yeah, it was the one thing, and then as I got older, the passion just grew, and I realized I ain't quite bad. I liked all sports. I was pretty active guy and liked to do a lot of things, but yeah, as I got older, I wasn't too big and couldn't do many other sports at a very good level, and I think that helped my wrestling passion grow a little bit. And once I fully committed to wrestling year round, it was, yeah, all I really thought about all the time. So.
What do you think about wrestling drew you in so close at the beginning? Was it just the creativity side of it, the hard working side of it right away when you started wrestling? What did you like about it?
Honestly, right when I started, it was probably more about I loved being around my friends, hanging out, and just doing something that we were all doing together, and just those relationships. Because all my best friends that even have to this day are through the sport of wrestling. I think that was a big thing for me. It was, I was around kids that I went to school with and kids I like to be around, and it was just a fun atmosphere. And I had an amazing youth coach. I keep in touch with him today, but he really helped me fall in love with it. Just how fun he made the sport, and it wasn't something that it wasn't. He wasn't one of those coaches who you went into practice, dreading what you're gonna have to do that day. It was just he made it super fun and creative, and just he was a lot different, I think, as far as youth coaching approach. So it was really good.
Did you find success immediately? Were you a good wrestler right away and really dominate the youth scene, or did it take you a little while to gain success?
I think right when I started, I was, okay, I might have done all right at my first tournament, one, I wasn't state champ or anything right away. And then once I got, I think 2 or 3 years in, I started doing pretty well as a youth wrestler. Just within the state, I would beat most of the guys pretty much. I won a couple like triple crowns within the state, but every time I'd go to national tournaments, I wouldn't do anything too crazy. I wasn't the Tulsa champ or any of that stuff, but I did pretty well within the state of Minnesota.
What were your first big or national tournaments across the nation?
I mean, growing up, I did go to Tulsa. I did go to Liberty. I think the best I ever did when I was a little bit older, I got like second at Liberty. The first time I really actually did good at a national tournament was in high school. I ended up winning Fargo was kind of when I actually hopped on the scene and kind of got recognized a little bit more nationally. But up until then, I was pretty good within the state of Minnesota. And if you're in Minnesota, you probably knew me. But outside of
Yeah.
that, it wasn't anything too crazy.
So we kind of see a really creative and innovative style that you have right now. When did you develop that? Was that in your youth or high school or college or even later than that? I mean, we saw you hit it in high school and college. So when did you develop that style?
Yeah, it's just always been, what I did. I was always the kid in the room that was kind of screwing around and trying not to let my partner score on me when we're supposed to be drilling, and just making stuff up all the time. And it's just something I enjoyed doing. And yeah, I kind of prided myself when I was little on not letting guys score on me in practice and being a little bit, coaches thought I was screwing around a little bit, but I was just trying new things and having fun. And it was just the other big thing is I was always terrible at getting my legs back, sprawling, and doing any of that stuff. So I had to figure something else out if I wanted to do well. So yeah, it was that. The coaches were always trying to make me do sprawl, like stance in motion, getting my sprawls down, but I could never get it, could never stop guys from getting to my legs. So I was like, I'm gonna try to figure something else out. And so I started rolling around and trying just about everything to see how I could stop these guys. And I guess that's kind of how it developed. I just kept working on my craft, and it kept getting a little better and kept adding to it. So
Did your coaches and partners support that style, and did they try to help you improve on that, or did they kind of resent it a little bit?
I think at first they might have resented it. Even my dad, he was like, "You need to get your legs back. You need to do things the right way. You need to do." And as I got older, things started working, and then even though it might not be the things that every coach preaches, and
So did your coaches and partners and family kind of support that style of wrestling, or did they resent that and try to make you sprawl and do that style of wrestling that's I'm normal? losing you right now. I'm not sure what's going on.
yeah,
Can you hear
yeah.
me?
I think they definitely didn't think it was the best way. I lost a lot of matches from it at a young age. I didn't, it costed me a lot of times, and it didn't always work out the way it does now. And yeah, so they always tried to teach me to do things the right way and get me even going into college. That was my first year at Iowa. They wanted to get me to be more baseline, get my legs back, do things right, quit rolling around and all that. And it was just something, I'm not, when I got with Coach Bono, and he finally realized that, and he's like, hey, he's going to do what he's going to do out there. And the best thing is to support him with it and help him figure out new things he can do from different positions. So it was, yeah, it took a while for people to finally just be like, yeah, he's not going to do things the normal way. And yeah, it was something. I mean, even at a young age, my dad was always trying to get me to do the basics. But yeah, then I mean, it was more. I just wasn't good at doing the basics than anything. I tried to, but it just wasn't happening.
But that's funny, but because Chris Bono is like the total opposite style. He's like the Iowa grind style,
Yeah.
strict baseline. It's funny that he was the one that really helped support it.
Yeah.
All right, so you wrestled in at Apple Valley in high school, right?
Yeah.
And did you wrestle for them in junior high and elementary, kind of in their youth program or something?
Yep.
Okay. So what was that like? That's a program that has a deep history, and they've been really successful throughout the years. What was that like getting started right in that program and having so many good wrestlers surrounding you and coaches and stuff?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was amazing, and that's. I mean, I attribute a lot of me falling in love with the sport to Apple Valley, and like I said, the youth coach I had at Apple Valley was unbelievable. He got me to really love the sport, and then the other big thing from the youth level all the way up until high school, it's like you got the best partners in the country at all levels. You got guys that kick your butt every day. Going into high school up until probably my junior, senior year, I would get my butt kicked by just about everybody. There were state champs at more than half our weights basically every year.
Wow.
And, yeah, so I mean, it was a lot of figuring out how to get tough and resilient, and get your butt kicked and figure out how to rebound and try again the next day. And I think that really helped me transition into college wrestling. But yeah, it was a unique experience. That definitely isn't like that in every high school and stuff, but just the depth that we had from the youth level all the way up, it was just, it was either, give up or figure out how to make, climb that totem pole and get to the top,
Right.
So it really helped me develop that the competitiveness I have today. And I think that, getting your butt kicked, you figure things out, going through that every day.
Yeah, that definitely. I bet that was awesome. So was that kind of in your high school career? Was that when your success kind of spiked? You said you won a Fargo title, was your first breakout tournament nationally. Was that in high school that you first saw your success start to spike?
Yeah. I think honestly at every level, I think I've gotten a little bit better, and yeah, that was the first time I really did good as far as breaking kind of on that national scene, and that was just a huge momentum and huge confidence booster for me, and I started actually kind of believing in myself. It was, I knew all the guys within Minnesota, and I knew I could beat them, but every time I show up at like a national tournament, you always got that kind of confidence thing in your head that you got to get over, and once I won Fargo, that confidence was just at an all-time high, and I just kind of rolled with it. And that's when the momentum picked up, and I just kept doing better and better, and yeah, I just kept improving from there on out. And I think that yeah, the big thing was just getting that one first big win for me, and that got it all started.
So you would attribute that to more mindset that you needed that confidence gain more than like a training change or coaching or partners or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about your recruiting stage. You committed to Iowa. What were your top three schools, and what was the recruitment process like for you?
My top three schools, I guess we'll go. I took 4 visits, so the 4 schools
Okay.
I
Okay.
visited was Iowa, I visited Minnesota, I visited North Carolina, and I visited Oklahoma State. And those were it came down to Oklahoma State, Minnesota, and Iowa, and I think those were the three that I was mainly looking at. But after I took my visit on Iowa, I was gonna. That's where I wanted to go. It was just the atmosphere, the way that when I stepped in that room, just the intensity. It reminded me a lot of my high school, and I saw a lot of similarities. And it was a spot that I really thought I could train and continue to develop my wrestling. And you just tell how competitive and serious those guys were day in day out. Just on a couple days that I was there on my visit, so I think that was one of the big kind of draws to there for me. And yeah, Oklahoma State was another good one I liked, but just not quite up to what I was looking for, and felt not quite like home. And the other big thing was I wanted to up every single day, but and just try a different area and see how I like different place. But it was, yeah, perfect, kind of that 3 4 hour range from home that they come visit whenever they want, but they're not there all the time. So it ended up being a pretty good fit, and I thought it was a place that would be perfect for me.
Um, yeah, because North Carolina and Oklahoma State are pretty far from Minnesota. So you said it was the environment that kind of drawed you to Iowa. When you got there, was it what you expected, and how was that first redshirt freshman year? How did that go for you? Was there any big changes? Like you said, Apple Valley prepared you really well for college. Was there any changes in your mindset or wrestling at all going into that Iowa wrestling room?
Um, I think that wrestling wise, it was fairly, that wasn't a huge adjustment for me. I'd say, the couple things, it was more of a social life thing and being on my own for the first time. Like my parents, they were pretty, I guess I'd say strict a little bit. That they kept me in line in high school, and this is the first time that you're on your own, is when you're in
Right.
college, and I think it was more of that part that I had a hard time handling, and trying to make the right decisions, but wanted to hang out with and it was just more of I think that big piece that if I had to go back is if I was to go through the recruiting process again, it would be more about the team and the relationship with the team
Right.
versus just the environment and how the wrestling is, because you're going to do well and you're going to succeed when you're around people that bring you up and the people that you get along with and believe, have the same goals as. And I didn't necessarily think I found a group of guys on the team that I was super close with or really felt that I clicked with, and I think that was kind of the harder part for me transitioning. But as far as wrestling, that was it was this, a little different but the same. I was training with best guys in the country every day in high school, and same thing when I got to college. And it wasn't, I knew how to work hard and knew how to go through the grind like that. And yeah, that was an easy transition.
So you ended up transferring after that redshirt freshman year to South Dakota State, and Coach Bono was actually kind of new to South Dakota State at the time, if I'm remembering correctly. Why do you think he reached out to you and wanted you a part of his program, and then why did you end up deciding to go to South Dakota State?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, pretty much everybody knows the story. I got in some trouble at Iowa, made some poor decisions, and just instead, I probably maybe had a chance to work my way back on the team, but just really wanted a fresh start and try something else out. And and it was me reaching out, to Coach Bono, and more of him giving me a chance than him reaching out to me. So it was, I was just hoping that I could get into school and somebody would want me on their team, and he was the guy that was willing to take that chance on me and give me an opportunity. And when I got there, it was, you're gonna follow every little rule we have. You're gonna, if you show up late to one practice, you're gone and stuff. So it was, he said, I'm gonna give you a chance, but don't screw it up, pretty much. And then, I loved South Dakota. It was a small community where, I had those relationships. I really got close with the coaches and the team there, and I had, my family wasn't far away from there either. It was just, it ended up, being the perfect place for me for the 4 years that I was there, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, it was more me reaching out to Coach Bono, hoping that he'd give me a chance, and I was fortunate enough that him and South Dakota State were willing to let me on the team there.
How long did that process take? Were you able to enroll right as the school year started?
So yeah, I got into, so I was pretty late to actually like getting into. I started when school started, but like it was a last minute, like August, and school started in
Ooh.
September. The day that I messaged Bono, he messaged me back away, and I think within 36, 48 hours, I committed to South Dakota State and started enrolling. So it was.
Wow.
Once I checked it out and talked to Bono, it was a pretty quick, I'm in, let's do this type of deal.
Okay, so that next year, were you starting and ready to go that freshman year? And how did that freshman year go? I'm not totally sure of how that went.
It was a rough start. It was a rough start, to say the least. I came on campus almost weighing 165, 170 pounds. I hadn't wrestled in 4 months. Yeah, I was out of shape, to say the least. So it was a long process. I didn't go 133 that year just because I was that big coming on, and chunky coming into campus. So it was a long process getting down to 141, and I ended up getting down to weight. And halfway through the year, I had a losing record. I hadn't won a single duel until after Christmas, and so it was a rough year. I didn't start off too well, but I stuck with it, kept training hard, and then after Christmas, it kind of turned around. I ended up winning all my matches but 4 after Christmas, and ended up beating Bryce Meredith, and to make national tournament. I beat him at Big 12s, and then was around to 12 at nationals that year. So it didn't start off too hot. I had a little bit of spurt at the end that was pretty well, and so that was kind of the freshman year.
And then the next year, your sophomore year, you ended up making the finals at 33.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that was a really loaded bracket too, with Tomasello, Clark. So that bracket was loaded. You ended up making the finals, losing to your teammate, former teammate, Corey Clark. Was there any extra animosity there in that match, or was it just chill, normal match?
I'd say I probably put too much pressure on myself because of the storyline around it and everything. I don't think there was necessarily any animosity or necessarily anything like that, but it was definitely, a lot more pressure. It was something, I was getting interviewed before my matches and everything. It was always about, oh, your former teammate, and bringing up how I got in trouble and all that. And it got me kind of off my mindset and kind of got me out of my game a little bit, and ended up putting probably a little bit too much pressure on myself and making the match and too big a deal almost. And I like to be calm when I go out there, and I think I went out there a little too amped up and stuff. So I think I let some outside things impact me a little bit too much that finals. And then it was my first time out there. He'd been out there 2-3 times, and so it was it was a good experience for sure. And, that's a match that I think about a lot still to this day, but, I learned from it and, I was able to bounce back.
And then that next year, your junior year, was a year we really saw your top game improve, and then you started just dominating everybody with your tilts and rebar stuff like that. With AJ Shop coming into South Dakota State, how did he and that coaching staff there affect your wrestling? When did AJ Shop come in? Was it before you?
He was there right when he was there the first year I was there was his first year there.
Okay. And so I imagine you two were pretty tight with that. With that, you both coming in to that program, and then he really affected your top wrestling from my point of view at least.
Yeah.
How close did you guys get? And yeah, and how did your top game improve? Like, what was the levels to that?
Yeah, it was so I was pretty good at riding guys. I could hold most people down. I was never good at getting turns unless I cradled them. Like throughout high school I could cradle guys and yeah, Shop just preached it every day. Just go to your tilts first. Cradles will open up later, but focus on tilts and every day, pretty much every day after practice, he'd have me spend 10, 15 minutes just working on capturing wrists and tilting guys and just going through different series and different things you can do depending on which way guys turn, which way if they try to stand up, and really just broke down every single aspect wrestling on top because he's unbelievable there. Like, I mean,
He
he
is
can,
a wizard.
yeah,
On top, yeah.
like people say I'm pretty good on top. This dude, I mean, I couldn't ride him whatsoever because he knew what I was trying to do, but he could hold
Yeah.
me down and turn me pretty much a lot of time. I started figuring out a little bit for the most part though. He turned me pretty much every time we wrestled, and but yeah, it was unbelievable having him really break that stuff down for me, and I learned a lot of just little things that make a big difference, right? It's those everybody knows the tilts and turns that I do, but it's those little details that you probably don't notice that make it work and actually, make it happen and stuff. So it was really cool having him because he's really good at breaking it down and really getting you to learn every little detail of it and just staying on me about working on it every single day. Every single practice, he had me make sure I do something just because I think he saw that I was pretty good at riding guys and decent on top, and just knew if I added that stuff to it that would really help, and it did. So that was huge to have him help me out for those few years that he was at South Dakota State. So
Um. Okay. So what was that? So you said you came into South Dakota State weighing like 170. You had to go 41 that first year. What was that weight descent like? Coming in from 170 down, then you were like a pretty normal size 33. Uh, were you able to get down pretty easily, and then that was your healthy weight? Was 33 was your competition weight?
yeah. So I got in, and I didn't think I was that big. Honestly, I thought I was like 155. So I told Bono that. And I remember it's kind of funny. One day I go into practice, and me and Bono wrestled, and he's like, "Dude, there's no way you're 155." He's like, "Step on the scale." And after the workout, I was
Ooh.
168, 167 or something like that. And he's like, "You better get your weight down. You're freaking going 141." And I was like, "All right." So I slowly started bringing it down and slowly slimmed down, but still, even then, I definitely didn't make it the right way. Even getting down to 41, it was more me sucking myself dry, dehydrating myself, and just making the weight. And I didn't do it the healthy way. I didn't feel good, and yeah, so it took me probably till December, January time till I actually was probably in at least somewhat of a decent shape and actually feeling pretty good and actually having a little bit more muscle on me instead of fat. And yeah, so it was a tough transition. And I probably would have stayed at 141 if it weren't for freestyle that summer. I
Right.
decided try going 60 kilograms, and it was something we talked about. I was like, I might as well. I'll give it a try and see how I feel. And I made it down there, and I felt better than I felt my entire wrestling career. And so I was like, hey, this is my weight. I'm going 133, and never looked back.
Well, now you're down to 57 for the freestyle year, so just
Yeah.
cutting all the way down. Um, all right, so that junior year, we're still on that big season for you, but one of the biggest storylines was your super match with Bryce Meredith at the duel. Where did that start?
It was on Twitter, and I think I posted just a picture. It was like kind of promo picture that Flow Wrestling had put out there, and it was just like showcasing that me and Bryce were both going to be wrestling. Nothing really about us like going head to head or anything. It
Right.
was just like pictures of us, and I just like reposted it and said come to the match this Friday, and I think Bryce replied and said, "Yeah, me versus God's Wrestler 133 or whatever." And, I was like, we were 1-1 at the time. We split matches my freshman year, so I was like, "Yeah, we got to finish our best out of 3 series," and people just blew it up, and like it was just going crazy, and so. It was I mean, Bryce didn't really have much control over it because I'd have to obviously go up a weight class to make it
Right.
happen. And I went and talked to Bono. I was like, "Hey man, let's make this happen. This will be awesome." And he was all about it. He's like, "Let's do it." He started posting stuff on social media too, amping it up a little bit. And he's like, "Hey, I mean, I'm all about it. We're gonna, as long as things work out and they're willing to do it, let's do it." So yeah, he was, there was no really. Nothing wrong with it to him, and our team still ended up being in a position to win the duel. So he sent me on up to a 141, and yeah, we got to make it happen. Put on a show for the wrestling community.
You weighed in at 133 for that one, right? Because of the descent plan and everything for that match.
Yeah. Yep. I
Okay.
remember. I weighed in 132.6 that day. Yep.
Did had you told Bryce that you were committing to it, that you were planning on doing that?
Oh yeah, we talked a little bit here and there, and I told him if Bono will let me do it, I'm gonna do it, or let's freaking do it. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I think he still thought it was maybe not going to happen, and
Right, right.
didn't really know. But I think when we started the duel at 149, I think he knew, because Bono talked to their coach out there, and he's like, "Can we start at 149 then?" And he said, "Yeah." So that was that. I think that's when he knew this is actually going to happen.
I love that duels are starting to change their starting weight. I
Yeah.
think it's a cool wrinkle to college wrestling. All right, so let's get into that match. It was y'all's styles are clash really well. Like you've got the funky guys gets it on single, and you're really good with that belly whizzer, and you're pretty funky. And he's a little bit the same way, but he's a little bit more standard. He does like top a lot, so y'all have similar styles, but just a little bit of twist to him. So he got you. It was a really close match. Just walk me through that. What was going through your mind during that match?
I was just going out there. I was hoping to wear on him, and hopefully just push the pace and see what happened and let it fly. And we got in a lot of cool, crazy situations, and the deciding takedown. It was one that I thought I had secured. I thought I was in pretty good position to finish the shot there, and I was like, I got this. I'm about to get this takedown, get some ride time on there, and get this match done. And he literally held on as I was coming out, kind of trying. I came up with it, getting off to the side. I thought I was about to sit him to the side and hook the leg and turn into him, score my points, and he held on by kind of like almost the tip of my ankle or tip of my toe, and he just held on to that and kind of snuck through as I was trying to turn into him, and he ended up in a single leg position pretty much, and it was after a long scramble, and I think I kind of relaxed for a second, and this dude just freaking blew right through me. Kind of did a kneecap double right there, and was able to get a quick 2, and yeah, I escaped, but yeah, couldn't come back in time. So yeah, it was a bummer, but it was my favorite match of the year, and I think it was a good thing for me to push myself that in that time of the year and get a tough match like that just to prepare me for the postseason.
Yeah, definitely. That was definitely good on you. You made a name for yourself. That like you're standing up, bumping up to 41 for the matchup. It was a really entertaining match. You let it fly. And then you sparked an idea with Jordan Burroughs and Frank Chamizo at Beat the Street. So that was really cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was super cool to see, and they gave us credit and everything, and it's still people still talk about that match to this day. So it was a super cool thing to do, and I'd do it again if I had the opportunity. It was yeah, best experience probably I've ever had in college, and the atmosphere at the duel was crazy, and it was something special.
Um, and then that match kind of changed the Hodge look for that year because you ended up winning it, having a really dominant season, but that one loss, even though it isn't up a weight, really changed people's outlook on the Hodge. But sadly,
Yeah.
get another chance this year, the favorite for the Hodge. But anyway, that season you just kept dominating, ended up winning the NCAA title that year. Um, Pretty dominant fashion. Tyreek Wilson came out of nowhere in that semifinal match. He still pulled it out, Gutty match, and then in the finals, used some of that AJ Shop tilt stuff. Ken Stefan Micic jumped out to a big lead and just changed the match from there. To walk us through that NCAA tournament, finally got that win. It was your third NCAA tournament as a junior. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just walk us through that.
Yeah, it was a fun tournament, and I felt pretty decent. It's a long year, and you just gotta figure out a way to win. And I was feeling good, and yeah, I was expecting. I beat my guy, and I had seen that Tariq Wilson was wrestling Cade Brock, and I'm pretty sure they wrestled earlier that year, and Cade Brock tagged him or something. So I
Right.
didn't
Yeah, it
really.
was in like Italy or something because they
Yeah,
wrestled overseas.
yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm wrestling Cade Brock again next match, and that's kind of what I was thinking. And I went back to the hotel, and my coach told me, "Oh, you see, Cade Brock got destroyed." And I was like, "Oh no!" And he's like, "Tariq beat him." I was like, "He's like, yeah," and he like majored him or something. And yeah, so I think it kind of. I wouldn't say threw me off, but it got me kind of thinking and like, oh, what is this dude doing out of nowhere to beat all these pretty good guys? And
Right.
yeah, kind of. And then I had a big break, so I wrestled that quarterfinals match, and you don't wrestle the semis till later
Right.
that night. So I had a big break, and I think I was kind of sitting at the hotel, stressing myself out a little bit too much about this. Like, man, this dude's freaking taking everybody out, and yeah. But coaches try to calm and keep me cool and keep me in my kind of groove there. And I went out there, and the plan was, I just need to get on top of this guy and get to my turns and stuff, and it didn't go quite according to my plans. I went out there and had some really wasn't feeling my best that match, and had my feet weren't firing very good. Pretty slow feet. It was like everything was going in slow motion. He'd shoot his single leg, and I think I moved my leg, but it didn't move for 2 seconds, and all of a sudden he'd be having my leg in there, taking me down, and yeah, he took me down 5 times that match in regular time or in yeah, in regulation time there, and I took him down 0 times. So that was definitely wasn't part of the plan there. But I mean, I got on top. I ended up choosing top that match, and getting a 4 point turn was huge. And then just riding him for a lot of the match, and yeah, it was crazy one. And then yeah, it was all tied up going into overtime. And I remember
Five
he
takedowns to zero into
yeah,
overtime. Yeah.
yep, and I remember the one thing is he thought he'd won the match. He thought he was winning by a point after he took me down. He kind of did a quick flex, and then he realized the match ain't over yet, and I could
Right.
tell he was pretty exhausted. And I was like, I need to friggin' figure this out. And yeah, I was able to he got in that next shot, and I could tell he didn't come up with it right away. So I was like, I need to capitalize on this, and I was able to get to my signature move right there that I like to do, where I kind of belly whizzer into catching that far arm, stepping over, and yeah, I felt it and I hit it right away and was able to get it done in overtime there.
So going into that overtime period, um, were you thinking like, all right, if I can last this 1 minute period, we're going top bottom. It's over if I get there, or were you thinking I got to get this takedown in this period? What was the mindset going in?
Yeah, I mean, I knew I knew he was gonna get to my leg, so it was I got to get this here. You know, it
Right.
wasn't waited out. I knew, the longer it goes in this overtime, and if he gets my leg in the air off the mat, I'm gonna lose this match. So I was like, I'm gonna, as soon as he gets there, I'm gonna have to get my freaking knee to the ground, and I'm gonna have to score here. And yeah, it ended up working out. He shot in, and that time I finally reacted a little bit quicker, got my knee on the ground, and was able to work from there.
And then, yeah, that was super dramatic. What was it? 12-10 ended up being the final score for plus the overtime. So,
Uh,
22 points up on the board.
yeah, I got the pin though, so the
Okay, okay,
score.
okay.
That's it.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really really entertaining. You seemed to have a lot of those that year. And then the finals match, you had Stefan Micic. Had you wrestled him at all your college career?
We wrestled at the All-Star Classic that year.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. And then how did that match go at the All Star Classic?
So I beat him 7-1 at the All-Star Classic.
Was that off the top, or were you able to take him down a couple times too?
So at the All-Star Classic, I actually took him down, I think 2 or 3 times, something like that. Yeah. So I was taking him
Okay.
down at All-Star and rode him for a while there too.
So were you having to hold yourself back on the confidence because you won that leading into your finals match? Were you kind of trying to talk him up a little bit, or talk yourself like keep the confidence going?
Yeah, once I got past that semis match, it was just a relief, and I knew I was gonna get it done. I knew I was feeling good, felt back to back to normal, and just yeah, I was feeling really good going into the match, and just knew that oh my God, I got to score early. I got to get to my turns and ride him hard, and yeah, it was actually right off the whistle. He ended up getting super super deep in on a high crotch, and just barely fended that off, and then as soon as we got up, I kind of dove in on a quick finish on a single, and yeah, got to that turn quick, and yeah, after that, it was I wasn't taking any chances. I
Yeah.
probably could have kept wrestling a little harder, fought positions more, but I was gonna make sure I won that match.
Yeah, and he's a really hard lefty lead European kind of style, so he gives a different feel. But yeah, I bet it's good getting that matchup in at the All Star Classic before you wrestle that, because a guy like him you kind of want to get your hands on before you wrestle in that kind of stage. Um, all right, so you got to work after that takedown on top, and you rebar tilted him. Did you do that twice, or did you just get the 4 count?
So I did it. I took him over, only got a 2 count. I went back and then I retook him over to get the full 4 count. So
Did
yeah,
so? Did you let go of it, or did you just get a total of 4 or 6?
just a total of 4. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Same hold. Yep.
So that match, you jumped out to 6-0 lead with a bunch of riding time. He wasn't able to come back. I think the final score was like 13-7, if I remember. Got a first NCAA champion D1 for South Dakota State. It was huge. Chris Bono, AJ Shop had only been there for a few years, and already got their first NCAA champ. And yeah, so how did that feel getting that done after a year of losing it in the finals?
Yeah, it was cool. It was yeah, honestly, it was the biggest thing. It was just I felt relieved after that. I put a lot of pressure on myself, and there was a lot of when I was number one all year, top guy at the weight, and yeah, it was just a big relief to get that. I had a big chip on my shoulder, and really want to get that done, and just training as hard as I can, and just to finally do that, it felt really good, and finally, yeah, I just felt relieved, and it was really, yeah, just amazing doing it for South Dakota State, a team that never had that national champ before, and yeah, it was really cool, and just the whole community was fired up, and I was like a little celebrity in Brookings for the time, and yeah, it was special. It was cool, and being able to do it with Bono Reader in my corner was pretty awesome.
Were you the first NCAA champ in any sport for them?
For Division One,
For
yep.
Division One? Wow. So that was not only wrestling. So when you got back to campus, everybody was
Yeah,
every sport. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah, it was awesome.
So you didn't take any time off. You got back 61 kilos at the U.S. Open. I think that was in April.
Yeah.
So not too long after the NCAA tournament. Um, First of all, how did you feel in freestyle? Because you hadn't competed in freestyle since the last year. Um, and do you think your style, because you're such a good top wrestler and your scrambling is so good, that you would think that you're a much better folk style wrestler than you are freestyle. Do you feel that way, or do you feel like you're better in freestyle than you are in folk?
I mean, I've spent so much time the past 5 years doing folk style that I've probably gotten pretty good at folk style, but all throughout high school and growing up, I was 100 times better at freestyle. It was always my style that I was really good at, and obviously I had to develop a little bit better folk style skills to jump levels in college and stuff. So I developed that. But yeah, I mean, once I'm able to kind of focus all my time on freestyle, I think that I'll even make bigger jumps there. But I still think that, I mean, I personally think I'm a better freestyler. But yeah, I think the top game kind of might neutralize it a little bit. But yeah, I like both of them, and yeah, I think that, I mean, I have a unique style for folk style and freestyle, but I think it translates pretty well to both.
Um, so that freestyle season, you ended up making the semifinals of the U.S. Open, beating some pretty good guys, then having a really tight high point volume again, which all your high level matches are pretty much lots of points scored, um, which we as spectators appreciate. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, you had a really tight match with Nashon Garrett, who was the eventual world teamer that year. Did that boost your confidence, or were you expecting that already, and and you felt like that was kind of a letdown?
Yeah, I mean, I expected to win that match. I think the big thing for me that summer is that's when kind of Bono left for Wisconsin, and
Right.
I didn't really have any training regimen going on. I didn't have coaches there really at all because Damien hadn't got there yet. So it was more so that I think I was pretty out of shape. I really wasn't training going into that. It was more I showed up and winged it, I guess. And I think that seeing that I was able to still almost beat this guy when I wasn't, really doing any freestyle training and doing too much, it was honestly a confidence booster to know, hey, I'm right here now. I know if I spend my time, if I'm in good shape and I spend my time, focusing on my freestyle game, this is a match that I should be able to win every time.
Um, yeah, so that was a great summer for you. Ended up hurting your back. Was that in training or in competition?
So I hurt my back preseason, that next college season,
Okay.
yeah, training.
Um, and was your plan to stay at South Dakota State with Coach Damien and finish your college career out there?
Yeah. I had 100% intention of yeah, just getting done with it and then figuring out where I wanted to train freestyle at. So yeah, I was actually getting ready for the All Star Classic again. I was supposed to wrestle I think I was supposed to wrestle Tariq, I believe, and we had that all set up, ready to go. And the week leading up to that is when I retweaked my back. I've had kind of back problems my whole career since my junior year of high school, and I kind of rehurt it a little worse than I'd ever been before, and didn't really know how bad it was at first. But we decided, hey, I'm not going to do the All Star Classic. Take some time off, try to get healthy, and ended up getting MRI and did everything I could to try to get it healed up, get back to the mat, but it just didn't end up getting better. So they ended up making the decision. I want to be healthy, for my 2020 Olympic run. So I'm gonna have surgery now and figure it out later. So
So what was the thought process and the timing between that? So you figured out your back was hurt. You decided you want to take the time. When did you decide it was going to be all right, medical red shirt? And then when did you decide I'm looking to transfer?
yeah. So first I actually wrestled one match. I think it was our very first match against
Right.
Arizona State. And leading up to that, I hadn't wrestled live in 2 weeks. I hadn't really
Mm.
done anything, but so my back was feeling pretty good actually. I hadn't done anything that would strain it or hurt it, so I went out there. It was a quick match, didn't really tweak it, so I was like, "Oh, I'm in. I'm gonna be good to wrestle this season, no problem." And I went back to practice that Monday, did one hard practice, and then I remember waking up the next day and like I got out of bed, I couldn't stand up straight, I couldn't barely bend, and yeah, it was really bad. So I went in and we were like, all right, well, let's get. That's where I started getting my MRIs and trying to figure things out. And from about I think the second week in November until Midlands. I really just was trying every possible thing to get healthy. I got two different steroid shot or epidural shots in my back. I saw a neurological chiropractor. I only did swimming workouts. I did a lot of different things just to, see like what, I still have full intentions of, getting back out there and trying to make it happen. So, but then it was right around Midlands and it just, nothing was working. And finally I kind of sat down with one of the doctors and they kind of said like, hey, like, I think surgery is going to be the best option, and I sat down with my parents and we talked about it too. And it was kind of, the big thing was, is this season important to you, or is making sure you're ready? Because my ultimate goal is, the Olympic championships. And it was more of a conversation, do you care about, fighting through it and having surgery maybe after this season and maybe not even getting through the season and then trying to figure it out? Or do you want to, just hang it up now and make sure you're healthy for the 2020 Olympic stuff? So sat down. The doctor thought it was the best thing for me to be ready for 2020 was, have that surgery right then and there. And yeah, so I think it was right at the beginning of January I had made the decision that, hey, I'm gonna take a medical year and have this surgery and hope that I'm able to compete again afterwards.
When did the thoughts of transferring come about? Was it a result of the injury? Kind of just like you needed a place for your 2020 Olympic run and your freestyle career from there.
Um, I mean, not to get into, I guess, too much detail. There was just things weren't, I guess, handled in the best way at South Dakota when I decided to have surgery, and yeah, just some different drama and different things happened there that, I don't think went down in appropriate ways and stuff. And I just felt like, yeah, I need to look at all my options here, and I'm free to, like you said, I want to see, where pretty much what's the best thing for my Olympic run, what's the best thing for my schooling, what's the best, for my future. And I talked to a few different places, and talked to a few different coaches and stuff. But at the end of the day, here at Wisconsin, they had one of the top business schools in the country, and I got into one of the best, supply chain management graduate schools, and just a lot of opportunity to, just continue to grow in my wrestling and be around, those coaches that I grew really close with again. And just the resources here, really everything just, was perfect here. I think it was what I needed, and it was close. Once again, it was, fairly close to home, and just a place that, it really ended up being a perfect fit.
Um, what other schools were you looking at?
I mean, it was Wisconsin's to lose. It was pretty much 99% going to be there. I chatted with, Tom Ryan and Cale Sanderson, but I didn't check out and actually go visit any other schools. I had a few conversations with them, but it was, unless something didn't work out and I couldn't go to Wisconsin or something, it was always going to be here.
So you made that. What time of year did you make that decision?
It's a good question. Sometime I think it was a few weeks after nationals or within a
Okay.
week.
So how soon were you able to make that move to Wisconsin and then get into their training regimen and get ready for the upcoming season?
So I moved to Wisconsin right in June. So I got down here in June, and I wasn't cleared to actually start wrestling and do everything. So I had my surgery January 22nd, and I wasn't allowed to wrestle for 5 months. So it was like I wasn't supposed to wrestle until end of July, but I started doing a little bit of drilling and stuff in end of June and started getting back into this, just starting getting in shape, doing some cardio stuff and just yeah, trimming down the body fat again a little bit, trying to get where I needed to be. So, and then I was kind of come July, I was starting to get back into full throttle of things.
When did you start thinking about your weight classes for not only the college season but then the Olympic run that you're gonna make? Because it is a little bit of a tough decision because you got 25, 33, 41 as your college choices, but then 25 or 43 for Olympic year. So when did you start looking at that, and what was that process like?
I actually made my mind up pretty early. It was always going to be 33 for college wise, just because I knew that's where my body felt really good. That's where I felt that I always competed my best. And yeah, the bigger decision was, 57 or 65. Do I want to wrestle 33 and then try to get big quick and wrestle 65 kilos, or do I try to shrink my body down, maybe be a little bit small for the college season, but make 57? And yeah, just I guess that as far as my back injury goes, it's kind of lifting. I don't do much for lifting weights anymore, and it's a little harder for me to put on weight and just straight muscle and stuff just due to that. So it was, I decided, hey, I'm gonna shrink my body down a little bit. I'm gonna do this the right way, and I'm gonna make 57. And it was, I decided that early on just because I knew I needed a lot of time to do it. And I told Bono, and didn't really talk about it much after that. I was like, I'm going 57, and at first he was like, yeah, right, dude, whatever. And and then he started to see, and I was coming into practice at like 136 and stuff, and getting my weight down and weighing out at like 130, and then he's like, oh, this dude's actually going 57, and I ended up making it down, and yeah, the rest is history on that.
And I imagine that it's also easier to make your lower weight the one that you don't compete in as much, but when you're competing every single weekend in college, it's harder to make that kind of cut.
Yeah, definitely.
So you came into Wisconsin. You're into this final senior year. The by far the biggest favorite for 33. And how many matches have you had this year? 4 or 5?
5.
5. All right. And then did you know all along you were going to the Bill Farrell?
Yep, that's the plan. It was go to the Bill Farrell, qualify, and then you know, focus on the college season, and then get ready for the trials after that. And obviously, always the backup plan was, if things don't go well at the Farrell, go to the U.S. Open and stuff. But yeah, it was always the plan. Yeah, go wrestle at the Bill Farrell.
Do you have any other competitions planned? Do you want to get another competition at 57 before the Olympic trials, or do you just want to head right in there?
I'm just gonna head right in. I mean, I'm still practicing consistently my freestyle wrestling.
Right.
Working on that every day, and just keeping up with that, adding to what I do. And we have Ben Askren that comes in and works some freestyle with me, and yeah, different guys that are coming in and out helping me out with that aspect of things. So as far as the weight, it wasn't people. I mean, I look pretty big at 57, and people think it's pretty tough, but honestly, it wasn't too hard. As long as you do things right, super disciplined about it. I made it down to 120, 28 pretty easily. Not really a problem. That last few pounds was the ones that were pretty tough, but it wasn't too big of a problem. And the big thing is, like, right now I walk around at 137, 138, and that's just, I've shrunken my body down to be that size, just so when the time does come, it's not going to affect the way I wrestle.
Um, so you're wrestling 33 this year. Next year, it kind of opens back up to 61. Do you plan to stay so this is your last college year? Do you plan to stay at 57 for the rest of your freestyle career, or do you want to kind of try to get bigger and wrestle 61 in 2021, and then try to get bigger for 65 for 2024?
I mean, I'm going 61 on off years, yeah. Unless
Yeah.
I gotta go 57, yeah. I'm going 61. That'll be, just a more comfortable way, and I can enjoy life a little bit more and just training a little bit more. And yeah, so yeah, unless it's, I mean, yeah, obviously the Olympics is a
Right.
big deal, and that's
Right.
something I got to give my best shot at. But yeah, if I had the option, it would be 61.
So I want to talk a little bit about the Bill Farrell, and then let you get out of here.
Sounds good.
So you came in, had a good weight cut, felt good. Right? You came in, everything was good. First match was a little tough. You had to get that warm up in.
Yeah.
Um, And then you had Suriano next, and that was a match we kind of thought could happen last year when your back was hurt if you were able to make it back. And then so that matchup finally came. The um, the thing that I thought he was going to be able to do against you was like keep his positioning strong and hold it to a very tight match. And and so I was interested to see how you guys were able to play that out, and you were able to belly whizzer, tip him over right at the end, the 2 points, take that match. Were you feeling good in that match? Knew you had it, or was that kind of like a oh shoot, what do I do? And then you got it at the end of the match.
Yeah. I mean, it was not the game plan and not what I was hoping was going to happen out there. Yeah, as far as the weight cut didn't affect me, but a ton. But I do think that I didn't do a great job of warming up. It was, they got 3 small mats and a ton of people trying to warm up, and I just didn't quite get the warm up I needed. I didn't burn my lungs out. So that first match was pretty much that, burning out my lungs, getting set and everything. And I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure most wrestlers have been through it, but sometimes you get that where you burn out your lungs, and then after the match, you taking deep breaths and it burns and all that. And yeah, I was kind of feeling that, and I went and laid down for a little bit. And it was a pretty quick turnaround, and I knew I had Suriano right next, and he was looking pretty good. And yeah, I was feeling pretty crappy at the moment, but yeah, I I knew he was gonna try to keep it close, and I knew that I was gonna have to find some way to score. I was hoping to get on more attacks early, and yeah, just hope to find things more. But I knew he was really good positionally, and the big thing is I wanted to force him to shoot shots, get to my legs, and score off of that, just because he's got really good re-attacks. He got really good, positionally, and yeah.
Right,
So
right.
I really just wanted to push into him, keep moving forward, taking ground, and force him into a shot. And that's kind of the big game plan. And I was hoping to score obviously more than that, but that's kind of what happened at the end. I pushed in and kind of stood up a little bit, made a shot look a little bit easier, and he shot it on that leg and was able to kind of crazy position. He had my knee kind of the opposite way, and I dove over and then jumped back to the side, and then was able to get that crotch lift right at the end. So yeah, it was a crazy match, and obviously. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to go that way. I was thinking there's going to be a whole lot of points on the board, and
Right.
yeah, it ended up being, he's pretty good at those close matches though, so it felt like a pretty good confidence booster beating him at what he's good at, which is winning those close matches.
Yeah, I really thought I was hoping he would shoot in a little bit more, create a little bit more action, but I was having flashbacks to his match with Joe Colon at Beat the Streets when it was just like
Yeah.
shot clock point, takedown at the end.
Yeah.
It was the almost exact same thing, the other way this time. So you had Darian Cruz in the semis. Had you ever wrestled him? He was 25 for his whole college career. I imagine you never wrestled him.
No.
That was the first time feeling him. He's a little bit of a distance, quick speed guy, but you're able to handle that pretty well. Get a tech in that match, move on. Were you expecting Nashon in the finals, like going into the tournament? Were you expecting him to come out of that other side?
I don't know. I mean, he's always struggled a little bit at 57, but I knew he's a guy that he can beat anybody, and he could also lose to some guys. So it was. I just look at one match at a time. I didn't really. I'm not a huge film looking ahead. It's just whoever's in front of you got to go out there and beat them. So that was kind of the game plan. Stick to what I do and go out there and execute. So. Yeah, I mean, it would have been fun to wrestle him again and get one of those matches, but had Darian and then and Tomasello, so
Yeah, so you ended up getting Tomasello in the finals. Was he what you expected? Did he have anything new or different that kind of surprised you? You were able to tech him pretty easily. That match was over pretty quickly, and you look great. It was like Thomas Gilman says, once you get the snowball rolling, it just gets bigger and keeps going. It's kind of what you look like. Like the first match was a little low, and then you got better and better, and then ended up teching Darren Cruz and Tomasello back to back. So Was he the same as you thought, or did he have a little bit of a different wrinkle?
Um, I mean, I don't. I guess I don't know necessarily what I was expecting. All I knew is that as the day went on, like you said, I just felt unbelievable. I was getting to my stuff. I felt quick. I felt strong. I felt really good after I burned my lungs out and got past that Suriano match. I just felt on another level as far as my body felt and everything. So I really just got to my stuff more. It was just thing. I was getting to my ties. I was getting to my offense. I was pushing the pace, and yeah, I mean, I mean, the one thing I guess I noticed, I felt massive compared to those two guys.
Yeah.
I felt, Suriano didn't feel huge against him. I felt a little bit bigger and stronger than him, but I didn't feel as like when I wrestled Darian and Tomasello, it felt like I was yeah, at a different weight class than him. But
Tomasello looked smaller than I thought because he wrestled 33 that one year. I
yeah,
thought he was kind of putting on some weight. He had an injury. Normally tied to injuries is some gaining weight, but he
yeah,
looked smaller than he was before. That kind of surprised me.
yeah. So
Um, yeah, you were definitely looking a lot bigger than those guys. Um, but yeah, so you've got rest of your college season coming up. U.S. Open. Sure, you'll be watching that, but still focus on your college. How much freestyle training will you do versus folk style during this college season, and how much will you do like after nationals or like leading up to nationals? How much freestyle parterre stuff will you do?
yeah, I think you typically probably 2 days a week I'll do at least something as far as freestyle. If it's drilling, do a little bit of live or just drill and spar or whatever. But yeah, I mean, and then the rest of, I mean, 2 days a week freestyle, 2 days a week folk style, something along those lines. But yeah, we have competition end of the week, so we kind of back off on that. But yeah, it'll be about 50-50, probably a little bit more folk style come the end of the year when I'm getting ready for nationals and stuff. And then I mean, once nationals is over, it's more about just sharpening up and make sure, I'm just focusing on those actual freestyle positions, like you said, parterre, making sure chest wrap defense good. Just those things where you can give up cheap points is kind of where I've struggled in the past. So just making sure I'm being smart in those positions and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's wrestling, and
Right.
you ready to go in one style, you can figure it out in the other. So it'll be a quick transition, but it's I've been doing it my whole life, so it won't be too bad.
It's funny. I asked this same question to Kyle Snyder, and he gave an answer like, my folk style and freestyle are the exact same. I cut a guy in folk style. I just take him down, cut him. And so
Yeah,
it's funny, like, your style is totally different. Like, you ride a guy on top and turn him with tilts, and you're kind of scrambling. So your folk style transition to freestyle is much different. So, yeah, I was curious. Then hopefully Suriano might pull his Olympic red shirt for the next semester. I'm really hoping for that. We get an NCAA final maybe between you and him. Maybe we'll shoot a little bit more, get some more action. But yeah, looking forward to watching you compete for the rest of the year, and then looking forward. What are you looking forward to after wrestling? Do you want to go into MMA, stick with wrestling, go into coaching, or you got a business degree? So you just move into business?
that's a great question, man. I wish I knew and had a plan.
Yeah,
Definitely do some sort of coaching after college, and then I got business aspirations. I've thought about fighting. Who knows? We'll see if that's a passion of mine. I like the grappling side of things, so we'll see. But yeah, my head's all over the place. One day I wanna be an MMA fighter. The next day I wanna freaking run a business. The next day I just wanna coach. And who knows? We'll
yeah.
see where life takes me and where God takes me with everything, and where He wants me to be. So yeah, it's just playing it day by day and focusing on the here and now. But yeah, looking forward to the future.
Awesome. Well, Seth, thanks so much for joining me today. That's all the questions I have for you today. It was great talking to you and getting this interview in.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. And yeah, hope you have a awesome year too this year.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. See you later, man.